Hey everyone, this is Anthony from the Console Gaming Crew, and we could not be happier to announce that we are now part of the Boss Rush Podcast Network and are featured on BossRushGames.com. BossRushGames.com is a place where you can find up-to-date news articles, blogs, and podcasts about video games. In addition to that, there is a growing collection of podcasts in not just the gaming community, but other communities as well. We are honored to be part of such a great network of podcasters, so please stop by and give everyone a listen. Thank you so much and enjoy the show.
Yo, crew members, what it be?
Hey-o!
Hi.
Even though Wes just did that perfectly, that was not Anthony. That was indeed Wes. Anthony is not here. He has a drill weekend, so...
Dynamic duo,
as we do, once a month, right?
Yeah, roundabout.
So what we're going to do today, I believe we discussed this before, is an episode dedicated to video game sequels. Specifically, video game sequels that actually ended up being better than the originals. We know from, people bitch about movies a lot, about how the sequel's not as good as the original, and even with some games. So we wanted to highlight the video games that we actually thought the sequel, went above and beyond and actually was better than the original. So we both put a list together. I do not know Wes's list. He doesn't know mine.
Now, to go ahead and just throw a little caveat in for these lists, it's not just like a first game and then a second game. It is basically anything after the first game that you consider is better, at least to an extent, than the first game.
Yeah, and we tried to... I can't speak for Wes because we didn't necessarily totally iron this out before we did it, but I didn't, I didn't let... I tried... I do have some where I didn't necessarily go from one game directly to the next. I picked one a little down the line. For the most part, I stuck with one and then the next one. But if I did jump a couple games ahead, none of why I believe made it better than the original had anything to do with graphics. Because obviously, if you pick the first game to the fifth game, the graphics are going to be better generally. Of course. So yeah, we didn't do that.
No, a lot of that more would be like storytelling or...
For sure.
Give me certain stuff like that.
So... let's get this started. You want to go or do you want me to go? You want to start it off?
No, I can go first. So one of the first games I thought about...
It better be what I'd think you'd pick.
Well,
if it's on your list, you might as well just lead with it.
No, I don't want to lead with it.
Because I knew you'd touch it. I didn't put it in mine.
Okay. So then let's go ahead and talk about Borderlands 2.
The element in the room?
The element in the room? What is it, Avatar?
Well, actually, there's plenty of Borderlands elements in this room.
Actually,
yeah. There's actually more Borderlands in this studio than anything else. We've got...
And that is not even my fault.
Now that we've got some, for those who can't see, which is everybody, we're looking around the studio here, and we've got, we finally have some video game paraphernalia in here.
Got some claptraps. We have Tiny Tina. We have Zero.
Yeah.
And on top of having like a Miles Morales and Alduin and...
Yeah.
And Harley.
There's a lot of Borderlands representation in this room, as you would expect. But anyway, take us there, Skitch.
Yeah, so you're talking about a game that... So the first game was fun. The first game, you had everything you needed from what was almost the creation of a looter shooter style. You know what I mean? First game, funny thing about it, you realize the first game wasn't even really cel-shaded?
Yeah, it was like a weird... Yeah, it wasn't quite cel-shaded, but
the graphics were different. They were unique for what they were trying to do, but it wasn't actually cel-shaded. Cel-shaded truly came in the second game, and that's where everybody looks at it from there. And then, look, man, you continued the story with 4 and eventually 6 brand new Vault Hunters with different abilities. The only one that had something similar was Maya because she was a siren, but her siren abilities were much different than Lilith's. And then you also had characters come in like Tiny Tina, who is so much of a fan favorite that now she has her own game coming out soon. Mm-hmm. You still had the original characters from the first Borderlands game driving the narrative very much so. You know what I mean? With, spoiler alert, with Roland dying and Lilith taking the lead with the Crimson Raiders and having Brick and Mordecai, you know what I mean? Basically being support, you know what I mean? In Sanctuary.
Yeah.
So,
and even though I bust your balls, by the way, I do wholeheartedly agree. By the way, I know I bust your balls about it, but that if I didn't know that you were going to cover it, it would have been on my list.
Okay.
It would have.
Yeah, because not to mention the DLC content for that game surpasses almost any DLC content you can find anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. I mean, the 4 DLCs that they came out with, and then with those, you got Gage with having Death Trap, you know what I mean, her being a Mechnomancer. And then you had Krieg, you know what I mean, the psycho who has sanity. You mean, very small bit of sanity, but still, it's there nonetheless.
Absolutely.
And you mean, and then with because with Krieg, you get a little bit of an idea of what it's like to be a bandit. You mean to be a psycho, and it makes it very interesting for the game. So yeah, easily one of my top ones. And once again, it comes as no surprise to anybody, is Borderlands 2. Plus, you had, to me, the greatest villain in all of video games, Handsome Jack.
Facts. Absolute facts. All right. My germs. So I started with Uncharted 2.
Good call. Good call.
Yes. So for anyone that hasn't played the Uncharted series, they're all great. They're all great. I love them. I have 4, still haven't played it. Nor have I played the one that follows. Who is it? Chloe? I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I did this.
I don't know. I've only played the first one, so.
But anyway, the story is great in all of them, but some of the major things that I love about the second one that the first one didn't quite get right is, one, let's just start with the controls. In the first one, they were so incredibly touchy. So if you have played Uncharted, sorry,
on,
you know
you
know what I'm saying. If you haven't played it, there's so much platforming involved. There's so much platforming, and the controls were so touchy that if you were standing on the edge of something, which you often would be, and you just tapped the controller in a different direction, you could walk right off a cliff.
Oh, fuck that.
So the depth, the depth of certain things walking to and away and different, they fixed that a lot in the second one. It was so much easier to make smaller, more incremental movements. That was better, number one. Number two, what you would call like the bullet sponges. In the first game, enemies were basically sponges. Mm-hmm. And the second you shot them, they would shoot you. There was a lot more realism in how they reacted.
Like if they got shot in the shoulder, they'd be kind of taken.
Yeah, you would actually have stagger. They didn't have
leg.
that. Yeah, you would have stagger. You would have, a headshot was a headshot. Like,
which is normally lights out.
Absolutely. Also, they handled where they placed the enemies better. In the first game, it almost seemed like it was puzzle, wave of enemy, move to the next stage, wave of enemy, and that's kind of how it went. And a lot of times you could end up being killed because you would kill a wave of enemies, think you were fine, and then randomly another wave would just come from somewhere else, and they'd gun you down. And in this game, they did a lot better at enemy placement, so it didn't just feel like it was like horde mode mixed in with some puzzles.
Yeah.
So, that was nice. The story, again, I felt was a little more rich. I believe the second one Shambhala, or was the second one?
Yes, is it Shambhala or Shambhala?
Shangri-La, Shambhala, but Shambhala. Yeah, the second one was Shambhala, and I loved that story. Yeah, the third one was the Atlantis of the Sands. But yeah, so the story was a lot better. But mainly for me, what made it better was the accessibility and how much easier it was to play. You know what I mean? You didn't have to do a lot of shit over again because the controllers weren't working with you.
Yeah.
So it was nice. But that for me, and I think it keeps going in the right direction. I don't know about the fourth to the third, but I think the third was even better than the second.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of people play the games.
There were parts of the third. Well, yeah, you saw me stream one of them that I was playing. Well, you saw a more annoying version because you saw me streaming when I was doing the brutal difficulty because I was trophy hunting.
Yeah, that was, dude. Honestly, because you were the one spot with the
where I had to climb
with the water. Yeah,
where I had to climb.
Yeah,
up
to swim
the
through
ship.
and then go up the ship.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, like, it was.
And you saw like how quick the second you peek your head out, like you're dead. I died probably like 30 times a minute.
And
like,
honestly, it was still entertaining. I mean, one of the fun things about streaming is that when people die, a lot of people have a certain reaction, so it makes it entertaining for the people watching.
Yeah, I had all those. But yep, so for me, Uncharted 2 better than the original.
So this one for me goes all the way back to the PS2. Yeah. It is a fighting game. It is actually.
Ooh, I didn't put any fighting games on mine.
Oh, dude, this is the one fighting game that I've I've loved more than any other.
Can I guess?
Good.
Tekken.
Yes.
Now I need to guess which one.
Good.
Tekken Tag?
No, surprising enough.
Wow. I just love that one because of Tekken Bowling.
Yeah, Tekken Bowling is a lot of fun.
Isn't it funny that like Tekken Bowling, arguably for most people, is more fun than actually what you buy Tekken for, which is playing the damn game?
Yeah.
Like fighting?
I mean, look, if I want, like, I thought about doing Tekken Tag, but I'm like,
okay.
the only thing about Tekken Tag that upgrades it from, from my pick is the fact that you can tag people in and out, and then there's bowling. Other than that,
okay,
I actually like this other game more.
So then it had to be, unless I'm not as knowledgeable as with Tekken as I am with some other fighting games. So unless these are the same game, I would say you picked whatever game introduces Eddie.
Tekken 3.
All right, there we go.
Yes, Tekken 3 is one of those games that I absolutely loved. I played the game at nauseum when I was younger. Yes, Eddie Gordo. You mean the flying capoeira, and just do that fighting style. Like, I knew nothing about that besides, I think, watching Jean-Claude Van Damme in The Quest, and the one guy in the beginning of the movie that fought like that fought capoeira style. Like, before that, I knew nothing about that type of style, and it is just. And then, like, I did research on what capoeira was, dude, and why it is the way it is. And I'm like, wow, this is actually really beautiful. You know what I mean? The style and everything about it. But look, it's not just Eddie. It's also Yoshimitsu flows so much better in the third game than he does in the previous two games. You know what I mean? Going ahead and actually being able to, just use the sword, and just the way the movements came through, it just seemed like it was more seamless than it was in the other games. And then you also had other characters. I mean, you had Kuma and Panda, which were the big bears that you can go ahead and unlock. You had Jack, which is the big robot that kind of looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, when Tekken first came out, I was all about King. All about King. That's all I cared about. And then I was all about Law. He's the Bruce Lee, right?
Law, who is shamelessly a not a parody, but a copy of, dude. There's a part in Tekken 3 to where there's a skin change to where you can go ahead and wear the yellow suit from Enter the Dragon.
Okay, yeah. So, and obviously, I'm an enormous Bruce Lee fan, so Law is naturally my favorite.
Yeah, but I mean, dude,
and Eddie,
like
but
Huang was another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You mean to where he can switch. He was the first one I ever saw to switch feet style. You switch his feet
stance?
to go ahead. Yes, his stance to go ahead and do different things.
Yeah.
Because you normally didn't see that in those particular type of fighting games. In those side scroller.
It's like what? I'm either Southpaw or Orthodox. I can't change.
Yeah, and dude, personally, I've never seen that before. So I was like, oh shit. And plus, Huang is actually difficult to fight with. Mm. He's actually difficult to try to control, because a lot of times when you try to press buttons, all you do is switch his feet back and forth, and it gets very, very irritating.
Yeah, Tekken was the game. I think I've said this on one of our episodes before, but Tekken was the game that led me to originally realize that there are levels to this shit when it comes to gaming, because that was the first gaming tournament that I ever went to.
Oh, okay.
I went to a gaming tournament at a mall with my buddy AJ. I don't remember what mall. It definitely wasn't our mall. It wasn't Willow Grove. And he, I'm pretty sure if he didn't win, he took second place because he was savage at Tekken. But I thought I was pretty good too. And no, that's when you get that thing, kind of like what Alex was talking about with Mortal Kombat, about how he'll beat the shit out of all of his friends.
But once you get
to the competition, they all beat the shit out of you, and it makes you think like, wow, I'm really not as good as I thought I was. That was Tekken for me. I got there and I was
nice callback,
I was like, holy moly, like these kids are on another level.
Yeah. Yeah, so Tekken 3 is, I mean, look, bottom line, it's one of my favorite fighting games of all time. So yeah, that one definitely to me is better than, and I played Tekken 1, 2, 3, Tag, and then I've actually fucked around a little bit with 7. So I do have a reference when it comes down to these games. But
solid.
Yeah, so Tekken 3.
I like it. Putting a fighting game. I like it. So I went straight into Mass Effect 2 for so many reasons. This is going to be tough for you because you don't have a reference because you didn't play the first one.
But I never played the first one. And
well, I'm going to detail some things.
As great as 3 was, I don't think 3 was better than 2.
I don't remember 3 as much, but when you understand, when I tell you some of the core reasons why I like 2 so much better than 1, it's not anything you will have had to have played the game to realize, I can see how that would be annoying.
Mm-hmm.
You already know Anthony and I have already spoken about this, about the like mining for materials on the planets, how obnoxiously annoying it was in
now
the
you just
first
shoot
game.
a probe.
Yes, because in the first game you picked your planet, you took the little rover, whatever the fuck it was, onto the planet, and you had to go until you found the thing. But all of the planets were essentially the fucking same, no matter how many you went to. It was just a different color.
Just a copy and paste.
It was just copy and paste, and it was so incredibly freaking tedious. It broke up. It broke up the rest of the game. So that's a big one. But in addition to that, you had they introduced gun ammo versus overheating. In the first game, your guns just overheated, and that was it. And I never really liked that in games. I'd rather just have ammo that I have to conserve, or that type of shit. Also, the cover system was terrible in the first one versus the second one. You couldn't vault over anything in the first one. They added the ability to vault over cover and move to another cover in the second one. So basically all the things you like to do in first-person shooters or even third-person shooters, you had more avenues to victory here, because all you could really do in the first game was stick behind something, shoot, let your gun overheat, wait until it cools down, and then go and then try to figure out where the next place is you can go to. Mm-hmm. But this, you could actually vault over things, which was incredibly nice. The story was also, richer, a lot more in depth.
I love the story. And then the Paragon system on top of that. I'm guessing the first one had it as well.
The Paragon system was great. The only and I can't knock the first one for this because they didn't have anyone before it. It was the first one, but obviously it was super cool when you get to the second one to see how things you did in the first game translated over. You didn't get that in the first one because you were just starting the story.
True.
So that's to no fault of its own, but it is something that makes the second game better. But it seems to me that outside of stories being better, what means a lot to me is just how much they improve upon and make the game easier. So a lot of
more
things
streamlined.
A lot more streamlined, and give you more options in battle, as opposed to and also the loadouts. Loadouts were way cleaner trying to put together in the second one than the first one. The first one was really clunky, and it seemed like you had to go through far too many screens to select what you wanted to put in your loadout. This just everything was a lot easier. You weren't spending a shitload of time in menu screens and spending a shitload of time getting shot because you just had to run from one cover to the next. So,
all right,
yeah, a hell of a lot better. And obviously, as in all these games, just like Borderlands, more characters, more, the depth of the story that you get to go into and into their backstories is better. So, yeah, everything in Mass Effect 2 is better. 3, I'd have to go and look back again at that because I don't.
We got to play Legacy. Got to go ahead and run it that way.
I'm gonna have to do that for sure.
All right, so my next one is a game that I talked about all the way back in the first episode. That I went ahead and said was probably one of my most favorite games of all time.
First episode.
Yes.
Shit. Like the first episode, or one that like really sucked?
Yes.
What was our first episode?
It was an intro to the crew.
I'm pretty sure it just says intro to CGC, doesn't it?
Pretty much.
God damn it.
And then there was also an Anthem review on that one, but
that's what it was.
Yeah. It's certainly not Anthem because that's not a sequel. But Super Mario 3.
So, okay. Yep.
Is that on yours? Is that our first crossover?
That was 2 down the list, but I'll let you take that one because I actually also took Super Mario 2. Okay. So I'll let you take 3.
Super Mario 2. Look, man, Super Mario 2. It's
different.
It sat in a different spot when it comes down to how the game's played, what it was. Now,
100%.
The biggest thing for me about 3 was probably the fact of what you could be. You mean having the raccoon, the raccoon tail to where you can fly, and just the overall system with trying to run down at the end to go ahead and try to hit it at the right way to go to get the star, and all this. If you get 3 stars, you get 5 power. Five lives. 5 lives, and then all the other all the little mini things that you can do on the map.
Trying to find the whistles, which kind of was their version of when you would find the warp pipes, the hidden warp pipes at the end of the first one.
Yes.
I'll let you go through some more things. I don't want to hijack your segment.
No, it's fine. But like a lot of that is the reason why. And plus, dude, this game just holds so much nostalgia. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I hold this game on such a high pinnacle because of the fact that it was a game that, like, I played the third one way more than I played the first one, and a million times more than I played the second. So, and then it's funny because even now on the emulator on the Switch, being able to play the third one,
Super Mario All Stars, baby. Yep.
even the All Stars, dude, even just regular 3, because regular 3 is on there.
Why do they have
Not being, I don't
Oh
know.
no, because they have 3
Super,
on the NES emulator,
and then
and
Super
then
NES.
SNES you
Yeah.
have the All Stars, which has all of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I still fuck up on the first world. There's still spots in there to where I'm just like, fuck, what do I do? Or not necessarily what I do, but it's like, shit. It's like, motherfucker, sit down, breathe, get it done.
There are some parts of these Mario games that are just unforgiving, man.
And like, I like being able to like just try to run straight through the whole thing, work from worlds 1 to fucking 9. You know what I mean?
It is nice that, like, sometimes if you want to just beat the game, it's you know, because you find the 2 whistles and use them at the right time.
Clock it.
You clock it the game in probably like a half an hour if you want. But actually going through the worlds, because you miss some of the coolest worlds, like that world where everything's
4.
super big.
That's World 4.
Yeah.
And then you have I think 5 is the ice. Either 5 or 6 are ice.
The ice world. Yep.
Yeah.
You have the. Oh my God! It's you have like the desert world, right?
That's 2.
That's 2.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's so many, and boy, it cannot be understated how one thing that they've improved upon. I'm sorry, being able to go backwards.
Yes.
Remember in that first Mario game, once you went too far, you
couldn't go back.
You couldn't go
at
back.
all.
So if you missed time to jump,
Yeah.
send it, bro. You going home.
Yeah, but no, Super Mario Bros. 3 is definitely high up on my list.
Yeah. So that was again, I didn't put this in any sort of order.
Neither did I.
So,
but I'm just running through.
But I do have that in my list. I had Super Mario Bros. 2 and 3. 3 I won't touch because I agree for every single reason you just mentioned. 2, you know, if I'm being honest, I understand how iconic it is, but there's not for me a whole lot of replay value in the very first Mario Brothers game. There's just not. I mean, I play it every now and again, but
just to bring back a little nostalgia feel.
Yeah, but like if I really want that, I'll play 3. But
3 has a high amount of replayability.
I know it's a hot button issue for some people, especially Mario fans, but I really liked Super Mario Brothers 2. I liked it because of how different it was. I really liked how different it was.
I can appreciate it because of how different it was, but I didn't fully get, you know what I mean, enveloped into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like I did 1 or 3. You know what I mean?
Like,
it was one of those types of things.
One thing that I thought they improved upon that I really enjoyed, which you then got in 3 when they introduced the whatchamacallums, like the pirate ship things and shit like that. But what I really liked about 2 is that you had world bosses. Like, it wasn't just a different variation of Bowser at the end of everything where you just wait for Bowser to time his jump, run under, and that's it. You actually had level-specific bosses, which was so cool because that was the first time they ever had that.
Yeah, you had the pink chick with the eggs shooting them out at you. And
You had
at the end of the first world.
I think that's Birdo. Yeah, you had Birdo at the end, but then you also had an actual boss after that at the end. You had like this one. I always forget their names, but you had this one big ass ball of fire that you had to throw shit at while he was like swinging back and forth shooting fireballs. You had what the hell else was in there? And this was a game that Koopa didn't even exist. You had Wart at the end.
Yeah,
this big ass toad, basically. At the end of it,
and that's the thing.
The music was better. I get it. Believe me, I understand. Super Mario Brothers is like probably the most iconic music. The overworld theme and that is probably the most iconic music ever.
Yeah,
but I loved the music in the second game.
Yeah, so like there was a TikTok that I sent to the guys, Anthony and Andy, actually a few other people, to where somebody played on on like a xylophone type thing. You know what I mean? The beginning of
and then
Mario
just
Brothers.
stopped.
Dun, 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 dun.
And
then
didn't
just
hit it again.
Stopped. Yeah, and everybody's everybody in the video is like stitching it in, going,
hit it,
fucking hit it,
hit the last note,
hit the goddamn.
Yeah,
people would get so fucking mad.
Yeah,
but yeah.
So I loved the level specific bosses that it had. I loved that you could pick. I believe in Super Mario Bros. You could pick Mario or Luigi, right?
Yeah,
I think in the original. or possibly in the SNES version of the original.
It might have been the SNES.
Okay, so if we're just sticking with the other one, with the NES version, if you couldn't do that, I loved that you could pick 4 different characters in Super Mario Brothers 2. You had, and
that was really different. That was really different.
It was very different, and they all had. It wasn't just you could do this. Like each one had their own specific power. Like I only use Peach. Peach is always because she could float for a certain amount of time, and she could do this. Like she could float, she could glide. So it made certain situations easier if you were going to screw things up. But like I think Mario was pretty standard. I don't quite remember what his was.
I think Luigi jumped higher.
Luigi jumped higher, I believe, and Toad, I believe, is just overall quicker.
Maybe. I never played as Toad.
I don't remember. I just remember that Peach was the shit.
Peach was definitely top notch.
Peach was the shit. They added that cool like jackpot thing into it at the end of the levels. But yeah, so like they had a lot of cool things that you didn't see. And that's why I liked it better than the first one, because the first one was just kind of like you play the first, you're above ground or you're underground. You got the same enemies. You get the same version of Bowser at the end, and then you have those stupid like the only way they could switch anything up was, when you're in the Bowser's castle for like the last of whatever world you're on, and you had to pick the direct route to go, or you get that, and you'd have to try over again. Yeah. So should I count that as mine? What? Even though I just kind of dovetailed off yours, or should I go into a different?
No. I mean, you just like I'm agreeing with you on everything. So go into another one, because I have one on my list that I'm waiting for you to say. Because I know you have it, so I don't want to take it from you.
Possibly not. However, it could be the one that I knew I was going to talk about, so I didn't even bother to put it on my list because I knew I was going to touch it.
Which is what?
Something Zelda related.
No.
Okay, cool. Anyway, next is Resident Evil. And I have Resident Evil. I put Resident Evil 2 through 4. I'm not going to touch all of it, but anyone who knows my love for Resident Evil knows that it dips up until you got to 7. It dipped pretty bad from
5 to 6.
To 5 to 6. Not because I don't think they're good games for what they are, but none of them felt like Resident Evil to me. Like, Resident Evil has a specific feel. If you just put guns and zombies, it doesn't feel like Resident Evil to me.
Okay, so I would sit here and put 4 more into that realm of the guns and zombies than say, like, 2 or Nemesis. You know what I mean?
100%. That's what, like...
4 was the first time they tried to change it.
4 is only for one specific reason.
Okay, what's
that I enjoyed it, and that was because of the merchant, which was cool. That's about it. So I don't necessarily know.
Instead of
that, I don't actually think that I like 4 as a whole more than I like 1 through 3. I just like that element of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like that I liked. But Resident Evil 2 and 3, it's like everything that Resident Evil gave you just got better and crazier in those. I try to think back, because now that I've played the remakes, I don't fully remember what it was like to play them just on straight up PlayStation.
And go ahead, just say real quick, I loved playing 2. And it was so much fun.
And we still talked about how it was also, and because you enjoyed it, it showed in the stream, because you weren't doing shit over and over again because you were getting fresh. Of course, there's always that moment, but it had so many moments that were so iconic, like the first time you saw Mr. X. And,
And then my final battle with him as well was...
so epic. So epic. And even a battle you had before then, when you were literally down to your last thing and you got that grenade kill that we clipped.
Yes. Yes, that was nuts.
There were so many moments.
Yeah, I love 2. So
and we said, if, knowing that was good for you, if there's ever anything for when you get back into a cycle of Freaky Friday, jumping into Resident Evil 3 would be perfect.
I want to, honestly,
because it's literally the same style.
We talked about before about what would be next for me. We joked about Outlast 2, into which I will call that a joke because I'm not doing it.
That's fine. Look, I will do that. I don't want to, but I will do that.
But Nemesis is one that I will definitely buy the remake, and I will definitely play it on stream.
And what's cool about that?
Because once again, dude, I never played the original.
1, it's also mad cheap now. Yeah. 2, the cool thing is, would it have been cooler to do it immediately back to back? Because some things would have been fresh in your brain, sure. But there's definitely still going to be some moments when you're like, wow, I remember doing that in the last game, because you end up in similar places.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, Resident Evil 2 and 3 just improved upon everything that you had in the original Resident Evil games, but the enemies were so much cooler, the puzzles were that much harder, the bosses were even freaking crazier. And when you add an element, like you didn't have a Mr. X, a Nemesis in the original Resident Evil.
It was all just zombies.
You
and dogs.
had zombies, dogs. There were specific bosses, like the big ass fucking snake. I forget what it's called. There's this huge venomous snake like in the attic, I think. Because I played the original Resident Evil remake that they have on PlayStation is incredible. It looks so good.
Okay.
It's it's apples and oranges to the original. You could have told me that was a brand new game and I'd have believed you. Like, it looked great.
Got it.
But yeah, you know, adding a Mr. X just gives that extra holy shit element to trying to solve puzzles and do things while this thing is stalking you.
When you hear the footsteps constantly behind you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because there were a few spots I remember playing it to where I'm like, I was trying to grab something, and then I missed it because I heard the footsteps and I'd start running, and then you would like type in the stream chat going, "Dude, you need that." I'm like, I know. I need to wait for him to come back around.
Yeah, and then while you had Mr. X in Resident Evil 2, who was terrifying, he really was only a threat in close range, really.
Yes.
Like, as long as you ran away from him,
yes,
you were pretty much fine. You know, so in Resident Evil 3, it's almost like they were like, how can we make this even more terrifying? Oh, I have an idea. Let's essentially take a Mr. X type thing and let's give him a rocket launcher. Let's do that. That's insane.
Long range.
And even if not that, these long ass tentacle arms he can use and shit like that. And, you know, they also still play with the unpredictability of when he'd pop up, but every time he did, it was terrifying. So, yeah, Resident Evil 2 and 3 just always added an extra level of what the fuck that the first one didn't necessarily give you.
Yeah.
I think shooting and whatnot. Now, I'm not counting the remakes for these because obviously in the remakes you have shooting that we're more used to these days with the over-the-shoulder thing, which you didn't have back then.
Yeah.
But even back then, the ease of shooting, everything was a lot easier. You know, being able to, you know, and I also believe, I don't know, no, they did do it in the first one, where depending on who you pick to use, you have a different, like I think if you pick Chris up front, you get the survival knife first, whereas if you pick Jill, I think you have like increased storage maybe.
I know it was like that in 2.
Because, it was like that in the original
Leon,
as well.
You mean if you picked Leon, you had
also another reason.
I believe it was a knife
to like 2 even more because, in my opinion, Leon's like the best character in Resident Evil.
Yeah, Leon Kennedy is fucking badass. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, the only thing I'll say about 4 is because you might even remember me talking about before. The thing I didn't like about 4, it's like I was like, did y'all just randomly decide to like just drop a bunch of zombies and put them in Mexico? Like, what happened? Like, it was just like the weirdest thing.
It took away the scare. The game 4 took away the scare, but like 4 was also the very first Resident Evil that I beat.
Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't a good game. It's just if you are if you are a fan of the first
classics,
3,
yeah,
it was so different.
Yes.
It was so different. And then what they started in 4, they took way crazy in 5 and 6, where like I just felt like I had more than what you always got in the first 3 was if you even ever felt like this, the most you felt is that you had just enough to get you through what you needed to get through.
Yeah.
In 4, 5, and 6, not as much 4, but definitely 5 and 6, you were like, I have so much it's laughable. Like, I'm not worried. Whatever horde can pop up that they want, I'm not worried about it. So, yeah, Resident Evil 2 and 3 definitely better than the original. Faux show.
Faux show. All right, so
I want you to talk about the one that you think I have on there, because
I'm gonna wait.
I have 2 more.
I'm gonna wait a little bit because I honestly, well, yeah, sorry. So you have 2 more to give me, so I'm gonna wait and see if it pops up. So I want to go ahead and put on mine. And I actually threw this to the Boss Rush Network Discord to ask them to go ahead and see what they all thought. And this one actually popped up on it. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Ooh, swing. I like it.
So much of a fun game.
Yeah.
Look, for me, having characters like Kareem Campbell, you know what I mean? In that one,
representation, baby.
Yeah, 100%. It's where that, like, when I was a kid, I didn't see any black skaters ever, and then going ahead and actually having one in a video game, it was like, and then when you could see them on their, on their tapes, you mean like their little skate tapes they always made, back in the day, back on VHS for people who don't know.
I just found in a box underneath my stairs. I just found an old VHS rewinder.
Oh,
I remember that shit.
Yeah.
That got me out of a lot of shit with Blockbuster.
Yeah. Be kind, rewind. Be kind, rewind. I couldn't say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, a lot of that game had to do with more, not necessarily graphics, but just like we were talking before. It's just more seamless, more smooth. With Tony Hawk, and I mean, look, dude, I have the remastered Tony Hawk 1 and 2.
I think the locations were better too.
I think so. Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you on that because that one had the airport, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, the airport was so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, all I ever gave a shit about was Rodney Mullen.
Was he the one who did the Christ Air?
Rodney Mellon.
What was his special?
The Dark Slide.
It was the Dark Slide. Okay.
Which now is just like a move that like everybody does.
Yeah.
Like he was the only one that did it back then.
Yeah.
He was that hardcore street skater.
Kareem had the whirly bird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some type of weird helicopter type move he did with the skateboard.
Mullen was the crazy street skater where like I think his clip that they showed in the beginning was like he would kickflip up onto like this row of picnic tables. He would kickflip up, manual the picnic table, kickflip out, manual the next picnic table. Like everything was all that crazy street shit.
Somebody else's big thing was the Christ Air, which was a move that I loved doing in the games. Because dude, on a half pipe, if you got enough fucking air, dude, you could do like a 720. Like it was a lot of fun.
Dude, there was nothing like doing your first 900. Also in that game, back when that was
triple kickflip. Triple heel flip.
Yep. Hard flips all day. Yep.
360 shove-its.
Yeah. Someone actually just did the first, what's after 900? 1080? Right? What's after 900?
Yeah.
Someone just did the first 1080 in front of Tony Hawk.
Yes, I do remember hearing that.
It was a kid, right?
Yeah.
It was a kid.
Yeah, dude. And then on top of it, the first Olympic gold medal for like something with skateboarding was actually won by a 13-year-old Japanese girl.
That's so legit.
And she did all this in front of Tony Hawk because Tony Hawk was he was color commentating. For the Olympics, and it's like, yo, dude, that shit was just insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely say Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
I like your pick. 2. Okay, for me, no brainer. Fallout 3. Fallout 3 took.
Did you play 1 and 2?
I did not play 1. I played a little bit of 2.
Okay.
And I played a little bit of 2 only because I couldn't. 1, they were charging a ridiculous amount of money. I had no desire to play any of them until I played 3. Because whenever I play a game for the first time, I'm like, well, shit, now like I want to play the whole series. And that was before I knew that the other ones were like that old school top down like Command and Conquer looking type shit. And I was like, oh,
yeah, they evolved that game a lot through the years.
Yeah. So I do realize that that's 3 is also apples and oranges to the first 2, but. So really, that's kind of an unfair comparison, but I still have it on here because there's no way that I could sit and play through. Like, it's just so slow paced, those first 2. Those old school, like, point and click.
Yeah, no. I got you. I got you.
Type thing. So again, that's probably like an unfair technological advantage that they had because it was their first time being on a new system like that where you had that third person view. You could have first person too, couldn't you? Or no?
Yeah, first person.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. First person and third person.
I think it was mainly it sat in first.
Yeah, and the introduction
because of like the VAT system and everything else.
Yeah, and
introduction with your birthday and
and what makes that
going through everything
and what makes taking that style of game that they had into this style, taking it from that like top down, is to really get to see everything at scale, to see how humongous a super mutant behemoth is. And stuff like that.
Even like rad scorpions or mole rats. I mean, dude, even mole rats were fucking big.
Yeah.
Mole rats were the size of like fucking like German shepherds.
I mean, obviously behemoths were always the scariest thing to come across.
Deathclaws.
In 3. I don't think that the Deathclaws, I don't think so. I think that's the reason that there was only like in the entirety of Fallout 3 there was like 4 super mutant behemoths, maybe 5. And only one of them wasn't terrifying, the one that was in like City Hall or wherever, because all you had to do was like walk out of the rotunda and he'd get stuck in there.
Yeah.
So like that one was easy. But yeah, to see everything at scale and to have those type of graphics for that game and obviously that was the game to let them to realize what they had, because then 4 was incredible.
Well,
we won't talk about New Vegas. New Vegas, WoW was a different developer.
It was, but it was
still kept basically the.
See,
if you didn't tell me that was made by different people, I wouldn't have just outwardly assumed it was made by different people, because it followed suit.
Obsidian did a very good job with that game.
Yeah, because sometimes you get a new company and they want to put their thing
spin
on it, and then it's just something that it's not. This, like I said, if you didn't tell me that it was Obsidian, I would have just assumed it was just regular old Bethesda.
There's one big thing from New Vegas that I would sit here and say is better, and it is the ammo, because of the fact how you can make your own. Granted, it had a diminished damage impact because you made it, as opposed to it being professionally done. But still, the fact that you could go ahead and make scrap ammo was actually very, very impressive for those style of game.
And an argument to be made for Fallout New Vegas over 3, which is a more fair comparison than comparing 3 to 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Is, while I get it's realistic based on what we think that type of situation would be like, I've talked a million times about just that overall green tone that you had in Fallout 3. Everything was just like green and broken. Whereas, when you got to when you played Fallout New Vegas, I worried in the beginning because it was just overwhelming desert, and I was like, okay, now we're just swapping
a lot of browns,
the green for brown. But then once you hit the strip, when you get to that strip and you go to Fremont Street,
Rat Pack
and
days.
Oh my god,
yeah.
It was like, and just seeing how, because you didn't see any bright lights in 3. Everything was busted up. Like, you didn't see any of that. So to see like this place that was essentially untouched, it was wild to like see all those lights and to go in those old school casinos and shit like that.
Yeah,
it was sick. It was super sick. So I do think Fallout New Vegas has, and 4 just marks both of them, in my opinion. 4 was fantastic.
4 was great. The only thing I didn't like about 4 was having to worry about the encampments and keeping them safe.
See, that was my favorite, because like I could just spend all day. You're talking to a kid that loved playing like SimCity and just anything building related.
We were just talking about that because we're watching a Gamer Ranks video.
And I only got one more on this list that isn't Zelda, so I don't know if the one that you think I have.
I don't think it is, so I'm just going to say
it's going to be a horrible oversight though, and I'm going to want to just leave the room.
Yeah, so I'm going to say it. So, this is a game that I have recently played on stream and beat on stream. You watched.
Oh my god!
You never put it on here.
Even think. I went clearly. If you look at these, I went so far back in the Rolodex. I didn't even think of anything recent.
The game I'm talking about is Ori and the Will of the Wisp.
That is that,
and that game is to me and to a lot of people, honestly, that game is better than the Blind Forest, which is the first.
Tell me one thing that it doesn't improve upon. Tell me one thing. One thing you're like, I like that better in the first one.
The battle.
You can't.
The battles. The battle tactics are better.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do with Ori is better, being able to jump and dodge and float and everything else. Being able to actually jump on the back of the owl and be able to kind of glide with the owl. You know what I mean? Even for the short period of time that you can do it. You actually battle at the end. You know what I mean? You actually fight the boss instead of just try to evade the boss. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? At the end of Will of the Wisp. And I don't know how, but they made it prettier. The graphics in the game were some of the most stunning graphics I have ever seen in my life. The music could bring a tear to your eye. The end of the game, when you realize what's been happening through both games and the journey that you went through and why you're doing it all and what you're seeing at the end.
Yeah, it brought
and how everything is full circle. Like, dude, there is nothing about the game that I can say is wrong. Nothing at all. And the best part about it is that the time between Blind Forest and Will of the Wisp isn't even that long. Mm-hmm. So you can actually compare the graphical capabilities of these two games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude, and I've said it on here a bunch of times, like, it is hands down one of my favorite games that I've played of all. So yeah, Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Not only are you so freaking right, like that's incredible. Like Ori goes
I was
down,
waiting for you to say this one, like literally this entire thing.
The whole journey from the first Ori through the end of the second is, especially because I played them literally back to back, is one of like the most memorable gaming experiences I have. I like, bar none. So yeah, I am so shocked that I missed that. You're gonna make me play the damn game again, and I have no reason to. And I have no reason to because I unlocked I 100%ed them both.
Yeah, but
I didn't 100% the first one.
It is so good though.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And that's the other thing, dude. The game has an insane amount of replayability.
Absolutely, unless you're, like I said, unless you're someone like me who purposely tried to find everything. But yeah, I mean,
but at the same time, you played the game at least twice over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and had just as much fun the second time.
Which means the replayability is there because you obviously did it. I mean, yes, you're a trophy hunter, but still, you did it and you enjoyed every bit of it.
Yeah, sure did. So I have one before I finish off with the one I already brought up, but Donkey Kong Country 2. Man,
you really did go back in the Rolodex with this.
I went back. I also just played it, so maybe because it's fresh in my mind.
There you go.
But Donkey Kong Country, I don't think anyone can argue, is one of the best games of its generation. By far, best looking of its generation. Because that was really the first one that really, for SNES, had those clean graphics that, it almost looked like it should have been something more graphically superior to a Super Nintendo.
More of like an N64 type
Ish,
yeah.
Or something on the way there.
Yeah.
It was so different.
It looked very 3D.
Yeah, it was 3D, and
I mean, even the rolling looked incredibly seamless.
Everything was so responsive because the one thing sometimes that gets in the way when you want to go back in the Rolodex and get your nostalgic days in and you play these old games is the controls. You're like, fuck, I forgot how difficult these controls were. They're not as free as they are today with certain things with your dual analogs and all that shit, but it plays
shit's a lot different.
It is. Which is crazy because we were shit hard at those games back in the day. You play them now, and it's like my fingers have dyslexia. I don't know what's going on. How did I do this when I was 10, but I can't do it when I'm 30?
Yeah, no, you're right.
I don't get it. But all the Donkey Kong games play so well. Everything's super responsive. There's no lag in the jumping and shit like that. But what I loved about 2 as opposed to 1 is just, again, they took everything and they made it better. My favorite types of worlds in those games, obviously, because I'm freaking crazy, are the ones where you got to have pinpoint accuracy. So the ones where you're going barrel to barrel over nothing.
Yeah.
And, then they added, the spinning barrels and shit like that. I love that type of shit. I love the new characters they added. I loved having Dixie. Just like I love being able to use Peach. And this for the same reason, because Dixie, you whip her hair around, so if you miss time to jump or whatever, you could, whip your hair around and kind of glide back or whatever, so... I loved that shit. They added more mini games, which I loved. You'd have to find these cannonballs, put them in this cannon, and then it'd shoot you to this bonus game.
Okay, I didn't know
so
that.
Yeah, I loved the bonus games that they added. I loved the new creatures that they added. So how you had the swordfish.
Mm-hmm.
They added new animals. I don't know what the fuck you want to call them. Creatures, buddies, whatever the fuck you want to call them. I found it harder, which I liked, because the original one really, it had its moments, but it wasn't really all that tough, but I liked that there was another element of toughness. And,
difficulty.
And let's be real, unless you were someone that I've just never come in contact with, if you did play the first game, couch co-op with somebody, let's be real, who did you want to be first? Diddy. Everyone wanted to be Diddy. Ain't nobody wanted to be fucking Donkey. No one wants to be Donkey Kong, even though it's his damn game. I feel like he doesn't get as much love as he should.
Yeah, but Diddy stole the show.
Diddy stole the show.
Yeah.
In the next one, whether you got Diddy or Dixie, it was fun because they were both agile and fast, and you didn't just feel like this big brute idiot. It just I don't know. But to me, 2 was just so much better.
All right.
I don't enjoy 3 as much. Some people do. I don't enjoy 3 as much.
Okay.
Donkey Kong Country 3. Anything past that I actually haven't played. But, yeah. 2, I think, is the best one in that whole series.
All right.
And I got one, like I said, I got one more.
So, the game that you hold above all else, I'm guessing, which makes perfect sense. I'm guessing that it's going to be Ocarina of Time.
No, actually. No. Now, while I do think that is the best game in the entire Zelda universe, it wouldn't have been as fair for me to compare that to the one you had on the NES, which is top-down,
the gold
side-scrolling
cartridge
type of thing. Yes. So I did A Link to the Past, which is Super Nintendo, because
Have you played the remake yet on that? The remaster?
a remaster of A Link to the Past. I played A Link Between Worlds.
A Link's Awakening. That's one. My bad.
Oh no, I did
thinking
not.
Link's
I've
Awakening.
played Link's Awakening. I did not play the remaster though, which
My
I
bad.
would love
Continue.
to. Yeah. So A Link to the Past has far more similarities to the first one than the Ocarina of Time would. So I left that out, even though again I think it's the greatest game ever made. But anyway, what isn't better about A Link to the Past than the original? Let's start with the fact that, like I said, chances are, unless you are insanely stubborn, if you did not have a game manual or a walkthrough, you would give up before you beat the original Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Because we actually just watched a video on it the other day. I don't remember who we watched it through, if it was What Culture, Gamer Ranks. I don't remember what it was through, but there's no map that tells you where to go.
No, you are a square inside a giant square.
Yes. You are a white square inside of a larger black square. And whenever you go a screen
Doesn't
over,
tell you shit.
nothing. And when you play a game like any other Zelda game ever, or any game ever where there's something you can blow up, there's clearly a difference in what it looks like. If you can bomb a wall, that part of the wall will look different than the rest of the wall, and you'll go, "Ooh, shit!"
Some type of
just like
texture.
just like we see pictures, like funny memes that you see sometimes, where someone's walking down the street and they see a crack in the wall and it says, "All my years of gaming tells me I should put a bomb here."
Yes.
Like, yeah, you didn't have that in the original Legend of Zelda.
No, it looked exactly the same as everything else.
And some of those places are places that you would need to further the story and complete the game, and you have no clue where they are because everything looks the same. So unless you systematically went through for hundreds of hours placing a bomb at every single freaking place, you'd never know where to go, ever.
Oh my God,
like
that's so
my
tedious.
dad, yeah, my dad told me that, and I wish he would have kept them, but I believe him because it's what you would have had to have done when he played it when I was younger, because that's the first game that I remember even watching him play. He had a bunch of sheets of computer paper where every screen he went over, he drew the map out himself and had this huge thing.
Yeah.
So like that's the shit you had to do. A Link to the Past, you have a map. You have a map that you can expand and shrink. Like, the weapons, the weapons that you have, and it was cool that they took creatures that you had in the original and just made them look prettier and do different things. But I don't know if it's that the original is just so hard that it makes it feel bad, or if it's just bad. I don't know.
It sounds to me like the original Legend of Zelda is the pinnacle of gaming for gamers. You mean straight up, like, you mean classic, I'm a fucking nerd. I am a straight up gaming nerd. And this is how I can tell you I am a gaming nerd. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like a status. It's like a status thing.
Put it this way. I give so much credit to the creator of that game simply because he made that game and then realized that you could make an entire franchise out of this and succeed. Because there is nothing that would have told me, if I was anyone that had a hand in making that game, after people played it, they're like, this is something we can just keep going, and it's endless what we can do.
On top of the fact, let's go ahead, let's make a game, call it this, and you never play that character.
Never. It's never ever.
Meanwhile, you have other games throughout that throughout that whole time. Like Super Mario Brothers, so you play as Mario, right?
You can play as the Mario Brothers.
Yes.
Yeah. The game ain't called The Legend of Bowser. The Legend of Peach. The Legend of Peach.
Yeah.
Is no. Yeah. So also confusing, because there's never anything worse than when I talk to someone who doesn't know as much about that shit, and like they call me Zelda, and I'm like, no, I'm Link.
Look, dude,
I get it.
I've done that before.
Look,
okay.
I'll give everyone a mulligan, but
back when I didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Back when I just wasn't knowledgeable. But everything in the second one, from the different weapons that you come across and the ability to travel between the dark world and the light world, and just all of it, every single bit of it's better. And I did skip a game in the middle there, which is Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, which is hands down one of the most atrocious pieces of shit I've ever played.
Well, damn.
In my life, because I don't like. You look at every game leading up to the Ocarina of Time. you can see how they got from one game to that game. You can see like, okay, they took some of this, they cleaned this up, they did this. The Adventure Link, they decided to make a side scroller where I don't know if have you ever even seen it?
No.
After this, I'll show you.
We'll look at it, yeah.
I'll show you, and you'll be like, "Well, that's weird that they got there from there," because it was a direct sequel to that. You had Zelda and Zelda 2, so like it's what came right after. But yeah, so that's it for me.
All right. So like I said, I did put this out to the Boss Rush Discord, in our section. So hashtag Console Crew, is where we are. And I did get some answers. Geek Bro, who's actually, he's the one that won the contest from us to go ahead and get the shirt and stickers and everything. He said, I think a lot of sequels are better than the originals for games, unlike movies, which is kind of what we were saying before.
Absolutely.
The developers have a base to expand their original ideas with the next game. That being said, he said Uncharted 2, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, and Mega Man 2 were the first games to come to his mind.
Mega Man 2, that's a solid one.
Late to Gaming is another guy who went ahead and jumped in. He said, of all the examples are going to be retro games, he said GTA 3, great example.
100%.
Great example.
Because GTA 1 and 2 were top-down, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, top-down to actually being on the street.
Absolutely.
Silent Hill 2.
That's great, too. And it's funny because not a lot of people mention that, because just to see what some other people were thinking, I actually Googled sequels that are better than the originals, and anything that even touched on Grand Theft Auto went immediately to GTA 5. And I'm like, how are we just passing 3 when you look at what 1 and 2 were? Yeah. And 1 and 2, when we were that age, they were great. I mean, we were still doing shit that our parents probably didn't want us to do. That's what made it so great.
I mean, look, I still remember what the race cars looked like. What the fast cars looked like. From the top down.
Absolutely.
And then he also said Super Mario Bros. 3, which is obviously was my choice. But yeah, that's what we got off of the Discord.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into a huge detail because you've heard me talk about it a million times. But if I had to take my most modern choice, it would be Last of Us Part 2 to the first one, because that is literally a direct sequel. And that's
not that far off. Time frame from when it was made to when it came out.
Absolutely.
Between the two.
Absolutely. And yeah, fantastic.
Look, honorable mentions for me could easily be Abe's Oddworld. You know what I mean? Give me those games just because you got to be able to actually turn yourself into these other characters. In the second one, with the chanting, you go ahead and be little scarab things or spider things, or like even the little dudes that with the guns. Those guys. And then like Marvel Ultimate Alliance will be another one I'd throw in as honorable mention, just because the team ups were a lot better. You know what I mean? You had a lot of characters in there that a lot of people didn't know about. Like, I never knew about Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Heroes for Hire before playing that game. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it gives you a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I have some honorable mentions too. You can throw out your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes,
those games always just got increasingly better. My favorite one being I don't know if there was 2 on Super Nintendo, but one of them was on there. Turtles in Time.
Oh
yeah,
good.
So damn good.
I still can't wait for the new one to come out.
Yep, I agree.
It's gonna be so good.
You put that in there. What else? But then, and this would be an episode for a different time. There are a lot of examples of games sequels that did not work.
We could do that one. We could definitely do that episode. That'll be fun
for sure.
And I'm sure we'd probably get a lot more traction from people.
Are y'all
if we threw it on the
crazy?
socials.
Yeah, are y'all crazy? You think that was better? I mean, we could get a version of that here. We're like, you guys really thought that sequel was better? I disagree. Which I welcome. I love to hear.
If you have something to say,
absolutely,
please go ahead. We'll tell you where you can find us at the end. But definitely email us.
Yep. Tell us where we got it wrong and where we got it right.
Yeah. But yeah. So we told y'all what we thought for sequels that are better than the originals. So now let's give you news. All right, so we're going to go ahead and come back real quick. We're going
to basically start off news where we left off last time.
Yeah, where we left off last time. And this has to do with the Activision Blizzard and everything else going on. So as of from last time we talked about this, which was literally last week.
Yeah, I heard there's a stinky turd that's no longer there.
Yes, the president of Blizzard, J. Allen Brack, stepped down.
Is that him?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that thing where I'm thinking it.
Yeah, I know. I got you. He'll be replaced by the co-leader Jen O'Neill and Mike Ybarra. And look, O'Neill came in very beginning of this year, January 2001, and Ybarra joined in 2019 after leaving Xbox. So hopefully these two, it sounds like these two weren't a part of this whole beginning or a part of this culture to begin with. So let's go ahead and hope that
they instill a brand new culture. That is
Yes.
a culture shock in this place.
I'm hoping.
Bring it up to a place that's actually respectable, so people want to purchase their games again.
Yes,
Because until I either A, stop hearing about shit like this, or hear that shit has gotten a lot better, I have zero desire to purchase anything from Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
Not a one thing.
Yeah, and that was one of the, like we talked about before we cut the mics on for the episode. Like I
own it too.
As much as I want to play Diablo 4 when it comes out, like I'm not going to buy it, and this is just a personal choice because of everything that is coming to light with this. I am not going to buy the game until I know that they clean up this fucking slop that you mean that they have in this place.
Once all this grimy, slimy shit is out of the way, I'll fuck with Diablo 5 or 6 or whatever comes out down the line when all these gross human beings are ousted from this bitch.
Yep.
All
right.
Time for that.
So now we're gonna talk about a remake. So we already knew that Dead Space was going to be coming out fairly soon. You mean we already knew that they were going to go ahead and remake this. We found that out on the EA Play event that they had a few weeks ago, and it looks like they're going to be reportedly aiming for a fall 2022 release date. So you roughly have about a year to go ahead and wait to see what this is going to be.
Okay.
I'm excited for this. I've watched a bunch of people play Dead Space. The game looks like a lot of fun. The remake I'll probably go ahead and jump into, when it comes out. Seems like it's going to be a good time. But yeah, so 2022, it's next year. Ain't that far.
No, it ain't.
I'm game with it.
Yep.
All right, so I have one more, and then Andy's going to jump into something that will make all the PlayStation people either happy or mad or whatever. We'll find out. So somebody had a Super Mario Brothers copy of the game. All right, from all the way back in 87 or 83, maybe. Like,
I'm on it.
I forget when it actually came out. It sold for $2 million.
Now, can you look down? Is this one that was from the test market, or was this
1985 Super Mario Brothers? Yeah, that's what it is. I need to look at. Oh, no, this is really.
What is it? Can you see what that's graded?
That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to
look
say.
at the water grading on that
Yeah.
thing. I can probably look that up right now.
All right. So yeah, dude, this sold for $2 million. This was reported by Polygon, and I mean, this is something that actually one of the people that listens to our show, a friend of mine from high school, Rich, he actually wanted to do a topic on this, and we probably will later on. And it talks about the video game collector world, you know what I mean? And because right now it is booming. People are buying Legend of Zelda copies for like $500,000-$600,000. This went for $2 million. You have like Pokemon shit has been going for like tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So
Water graded this thing a 9.8.
fuck.
So you know how many 9.8 factory sealed Super Mario Brothers games are out there?
I'm guessing
one.
Just this one. Yeah.
I'm guessing one.
So I think from what I heard about this was that this guy actually had a copy before he got this one. So he just left this one in an EB Games bag, like plastic bag. Just left it signed, sealed, delivered. You know what I mean? It just left it be. And this is what came from that.
Yeah, well, yeah. It says right here in an article that I'm reading that he bought this game for $140,000 in April of 2020, okay. And investors shot down a $300,000 offer for it last year. The $2 million offer came from an anonymous buyer is a collector who's quote unquote making big bets in the video game space. So that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, dude. I mean, look, this is absolutely insane. And like I said, when we figure out the right way to do a guideline on this type of episode, we will absolutely do it, because this is a part of the world that we're not normally even thinking about.
Yeah, well, now I remember seeing I wonder if it'd be funny if it was the same guy. If it was, that'd be hilarious, because And that's why I was asking if it was a test market, because I watched an episode of Pawn Stars where a guy brought in from WADA I don't remember what the grade was. We can actually look it up after because it'd be interesting to see if it was the same grade and the same one. He had a copy of the Super Mario game that was from the test market before they were wrapped in cellophane, when it was just sticker sealed.
Yeah.
Which is, so the shit that they had before it even got put on the shelves for purchase.
Yeah.
And he wanted $1 million for it.
Best I could offer you is 25 cents.
No, he didn't even get an offer because Rick was like, I didn't even realize that there was a market for 6-figure games, let alone 7-figure games.
Yeah.
So they called the guy in because when they have that guy come in, it's the head guy from WADA.
Yeah.
That is like, this is by far the best piece of gaming history that's ever been graded and passed through our system. And to our knowledge, how many of these survived the test market? One, and you're looking at it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I've seen people turn down offers of $500,000. So basically open-ended. Could this be worth $1 million? Sure. It could be worth $500,000. It could be worth $4 million. It depends on who's buying it.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if it's the same guy, because I couldn't tell if that was wrapped in cellophane or if it was. You also can't even tell if they just used a stock picture for that. You don't know that that's the actual thing.
That is true.
So I'd be curious to see if It looks like it. I can't tell if it's
9.8
or not. It does say 9.8.
No. Look. Are you see this here? That's cellophane. That is absolutely cellophane.
Are you sure that that's not just like
no.
an imperfection on the box?
No, it's the dude. That has to be the way the cellophane seals. You when it's heated to seal around. This corner right here, dude. That has to be cellophane.
I'm just curious to see what the rating was for the one on Pawn Stars. We can check that afterwards, because that's definitely a 9.8.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then even though they're technically two different spots of the game, I'd just be curious to see what it is. So we actually just took a look at it, and the one that passed through on Pawn Stars was a 9.4, which is still excellent collection. So that was a 9.4 on the test market. So we don't know if possibly this one that just sold for $2 million was something new that came through the grading company. Because he said that this was the highest grade they've ever seen pass through on that, and obviously the one that just sold was a 9.8.
Yeah, but at the same time, that was the highest grade of a test market.
Yeah.
One, as opposed to.
Because what did he say? He said that he thinks they only made like 10,000 copies.
And that one that was a test market one was the only surviving copy that still was like sealed. Yeah. So 9.8, dude. Jesus Christ, that's.
A 9.8,
dude, that's just fucking bonkers, man.
And $2 million. I mean, and first of all, just to go back to that one on Pawn Stars, I feel like that, and if so, it's probably a genius move. That guy that went on there, if you have a sticker sealed 9.4 copy of Super Mario Brothers, you don't try to sell that shit to a pawn shop.
No,
that's not where you sell that.
Look, now, that show is also very much staged.
Some of it, I mean, people do really have that shit.
People
and they do really get paid.
But at the same time, they do stage a bunch of shit on Pawn Stars.
For sure. Now, if that guy's smart, he went on there just so he could, so a lot of people would know that, hey, I have this, and then have the video game world buzzing, the collectors buzzing, because there is no way I'm not selling that to some freak video game collector. That's who that goes to, not a pawn shop.
Yeah. Agreed.
Unless you're like really hard up for money and you don't care what you get for it.
But hey, man, $2 million. Congrats.
$2 million.
All right. So what's the story you have?
So the story that I have, I actually have to get back to because I just pulled up all that shit for Super Mario Brothers, is everything going on with the latest software update for the PS5. This is Sony confirming every PS5 upgrade coming in the new software update, and we're just going to go through it. So the first thing is the new storage expansion,
which is something that a lot of people have been talking about.
Yep, and everything I'm getting here, I'm getting off of T3.com is where all this information is coming from. The PS5 M2 SSD storage expansion. This is an update that everyone's wanted for quite a long time. It comes with a storage space expansion slot that so far
the spot's been empty. And you mean if you actually took apart your PlayStation,
yeah,
you know what I mean, it has a location for it, but they never did anything with it.
Yeah, the new system software turns this on, means that gamers can slot in a compatible SSD and dramatically increase the storage space of their console for games and media.
Because right now it's only what, 812?
That's I believe so.
Yeah.
And that's a big one. In addition to that, I'm streamlining this because we're not trying to turn this into a half an hour thing. I'm trying to break them all down. Also, you have new 3D audio support for built-in TV speakers. It's another big thing. For all the audiophiles out there, this next feature is going to be very welcome, as it enables 3D audio support for built-in speakers, meaning that the positional audio fidelity for gamers using their PS5 in conjunction with their TV speakers will be improved, making the game experience more immersive. So, I mean, that's going to be great for people that aren't this situation like me, and actually it should help you, right? Because you don't have, like, I use a sound bar and like TV. So you're using just your TV speakers, so this is gonna be great for you. So yeah,
I wonder if this will go ahead and like help when you're like have headphones on.
It says once enabled through the sound menu in the PS5 system settings, you'll be immersed in sounds that feel like they're actually coming from every direction. They can players can measure the acoustics of their own room using the microphone on their DualSense wireless controller to apply the 3D audio setting that's optimized for the room. So that's actually pretty cool.
That is nice.
You're like mapping your room with the controller, basically.
Again, DualSense. Fucking that controller is just so goddamn nice.
When it, like, we're not blown. I mean, we're still surprised, but you're not blown away when you hear about tech advances in Sony's shit. Because that's what this has all been about, like
really.
Power versus tech.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So you expect this cool shit. Also, PS5 UX enhancements and customization options. So finally, Sony has confirmed that a series of user interface improvements are incoming on the new system software update, which will grant the owner greater control over their console. This includes a wide variety of things, ranging from menu appearance to game library tweaks, to PlayStation Now resolution control and a new trophy tracker feature, which I'm excited about. So let's break these down a little bit. So first, players can now personalize their control center more freely by rearranging or choosing which controls to hide or unhide. I always like that ability to make your shit how you want it. Players can easily view and write messages to friends and parties directly from the game base in the control center. I'm all about that. You know me, I hate having to click on, multiple things to get to where I want to go.
Yeah.
Make it quick, make it easy, and I'm good there. Players can now also see how many of their friends are online, busy, or offline under the Friends tab in the game base, as well as accept, decline, or cancel multiple friend requests at once.
Ooh, nice.
Yep.
I like that.
Different platform versions of the same game will now appear separately on the home screen, and in the installed tab of the game's library, each game's title now also clearly indicates its platform. This next one I'm actually super excited about, especially if I do get back into it. Players can now use a resolution selector for PlayStation Now to choose between 720 or 1080, or use a streaming connection test to identify and fix connection issues. That'll help, because the reason I stopped PS Now was because I was having incredible connection issues. Games would just lag and drop out like crazy. I tried to play Twisted Metal because, why
Twisted
not?
Metal.
Because Twisted Metal. So that's cool. When players now compete in challenges for a better time or higher score and set a new personal best, a video clip of the action will be automatically recorded. Makes life easier. Following an online match, players can award others with a fourth accolade type, leader. That's dope. And a new trophy tracker lets players quickly access up to 5 trophies per game through the control center. So that's dope. So obviously the largest portion of that is the storage,
which is something that everybody's been talking about. And look, you're talking about an average of one of these is probably going to be about $170, $160, something along those lines. So just to keep that in mind.
You knew that was coming, because while these systems always start with more storage than their predecessor, the games also take up more storage.
Yeah.
So, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and look, it's somebody like me who normally has a lot of games on the docket. I use my storage a lot.
For sure. That's why it's never been an issue for me thus far, because I only have a couple games at a time until I finish them. Yeah. I don't have 10 games sitting in my library.
Yes.
So that's always good. I got Aja the other day just looking, when we downloaded the game we're about to talk about for What Are We Playing?
Yeah.
Because I now have
I
have that. I have NHL now on that one in case we ever decide to all play. And then my Freaky Friday game. And I just have so many games. And I'm like, oh, there's too many here.
I don't like it.
It's too much.
If you want a more detailed look at what this update truly is, I'm going to put in the show notes a episode from very good friends of ours, Adrian and Alex from the Unknown Games podcast. Their most recent episode that dropped this past Friday, they talked about this at length, and it's coming from guys who play PC. So they will be able to give you a little bit of a different aspect of what all this stuff actually means, and they actually know what they're talking about with this, as opposed to us. We're sitting here going, it's more memory. Because basically that's because that's me. So
more is better.
But yeah, so so we'll link that there in the show notes.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have in news. So we did a co-op thing on top of a few other things that we're both playing. So why don't we go ahead and tell everybody what we are playing. I played this week was a little tough for me to get some gaming in. Some things happened, but I'm not going to dive into it because it doesn't need to be. But I got a little bit more into Omno.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That game that I was telling you guys about, that single player game with like kind of like puzzle solving. Mm-hmm. And I learned how to surf on my staff that I'm walking around with. So that's kind of new. Incredible. Pretty neat. Haven't really gotten that. I only played that for like maybe an hour and a half this week, so wasn't really all that much. But other than that, I have been playing more of Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin.
Sweet.
I've been finding a bunch of new monsters. You basically steal from their nests to try to find the best eggs that you can. It's kind of a fucked up thing. You know what I mean? It's where like, I'm taking your babies. You know what I mean? Because
I can see how that would be a little strange.
Because, you know what I mean? The Monster Hunter monsters, which are called monsties in this game, you take them and then like you can ride on top of them. You know what I mean? When you're going through the whole world and everything else like that, and then they're your allies when you're battling other monsters. So you know what I mean, like you level up when everybody levels up at the same time. So you know what I mean, say you have one that you just hatched that's level 1 and you're running with like level 10 shit. It's going to take a little while for that one to go ahead and make it to like level 10 or 11 or whatever the case may be. But that's kind of where I'm right now. I'm running through the story. You know what I mean? Like my grandfather used to run with these elf type people, you know what I mean, who age much different than what humans do. So my grandfather went from being a kid to an old man and passing away, and all these people remember him from when he was a kid and run through the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, because they age differently than your character does. So you being like a young teenager, and they're like, "Oh, I remember your grandfather," and you doing all this stuff with your grandfather because your grandfather was the one that had a Rathalos that that had these wings that were able to destroy worlds, and that's what the Wings of Ruin are. And you have an egg, you have a Rathalos egg that is different than other Rathalos eggs. So everybody thinks that this is going to be the arbiter of death.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So right now I'm carrying this egg around, waiting for it to hatch. And then I guess we'll see what happens when it hatches. But until then, I'm doing all these battles with all these different other fucking monsters and shit. And so, honestly, I'm having a good time with it. You have these 3 hearts that are in the game, and once you lose your health 3 times, it takes you back to your hub. And I've had that happen a few times because I wasn't paying attention, and I'm just kind of just like I'm going to battle through, man. I'm just going to rock this shit. And then you see a 3rd heart break, and you go,
awesome.
Now I got to do all that over again. Mm-hmm. Fuck. But no, it's been fun so far. I mainly play it when Jess might be watching something on TV, or when I'm down here, editing. I'll go ahead and I'll run through, just go ahead and give myself something to do. In the meantime, kind of reason why I bought my Switch Lite to begin with.
Yes.
But yeah, that's basically all I've been doing besides what we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Well, we might as well do that now because you're a part of it, and then we'll transition to just what I've been doing by myself.
Okay, so we decided to do a co-op Friday.
Just like we said we would. It didn't go exactly how we thought because we thought we would have Anthony with us. It didn't work out that way, but
no. So it was just 2 of
Friday
us.
Break.
Yeah, but yeah, we're doing things a little bit different. So we decided to play The Ascent, which is a game that just recently came out on Game Pass. It was a day 1 game, and essentially you are your character
is a person. We don't know that much. We've only got about an hour and a half in this thing, and probably 20 of it was customization.
Yes,
so.
yeah. So your character's a person, but the whole thing about the world is that you are contracted into working, and once your contract ends, you either get killed or you get into a new contract, something along those lines. So right now, I think we're trying to run away from whatever might be trying to kill us, or we're trying to go kill somebody. I'm not entirely sure what the story leads to at this point. Now it is a dual stick game. What that means is that your left analog stick is your movement. You mean being able to like run backwards, forwards, up. I mean left and right, whatever. But your right stick controls where you aim. And for a standard like first person or third person shooter game, that's not a difficult thing. It makes sense. For an over the top game, it makes it a little bit different because this game involves guns. And when you're trying to aim the guns down sight, which is like a laser sight, and then also having to go ahead and dodge the different enemies you need to fight. I died like 3 or 4 times when we played for our Friday run, just because it's something, at least for me, I need to get used to.
For me, the only thing that I'm really trying to get used to is, well, control wise, is I keep accidentally throwing my thing with the left stick.
Tactical.
Yeah, because in a lot of games for me that I play now, that's how you sprint. So, and I keep forgetting that there is no sprint.
There's not.
Your stock run is your run is your run.
Yeah, the only way you can go like distances quickly is you can continuously dodge forward or backward or whatever.
What I do like about the game so far, even though I did one by accident, I really like how deep the customization is.
Yeah, your first level up was funny.
Yeah, we had our first, I don't know if it's a big boss or a mini boss, but we had our first boss battle.
Yeah.
Was
before we made it to the main city.
That was fun. I like how it feels. Like everything feels bigger than I thought it would, coming from like a top-down Diablo-ish looking game. Well, like when that dude that we were fighting, that big boss, was like shooting those rockets, like feeling that rumble in the controller.
Yeah.
Felt right.
Yeah.
The guns feel right. And it's far deeper than I thought. And there's far more to, like, the city that we just got to, that we ended at.
There was a lot.
Which now I assume that, like, if this is like this game's version of like the central hub city that you constantly come back to for like weapons dealers and stuff like that, then I understand it being so big. But like, as soon as we pick back up, the next time we go, like, we got to explore that shit even more. Because there's so many places we probably didn't even find.
I mean,
yet.
Look, I do want to go into the weapon. I mean, so after you jumped off, I was only on for like another few minutes. I jumped into the weaponsmith. I checked out what he had. I can't afford anything that he has, so then I just walked off and turned off. But no, so far, it's different. It is different than what we normally play. It's different than what we've normally been running around with, especially as a co-op. Normally, our co-op stuff is very much so sports. You know what I mean? So it would be an NHL.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's nice for that to not be the situation anymore. Yeah.
But yeah, other than the Ascent, what have you been messing with?
I got a little bit further in Resident Evil Village. Not too much further, but I'm still in Castle Dimitrescu. Working my way through there. I actually just had a fight with one of her sisters, I think. Sisters or daughters? I think it might be one of her daughters.
I think it's daughters, because I remember when one of them, unfortunately, the woman that voiced one of them passed away. Actually, voiced 2 of them passed away. They went ahead and said that they were daughters.
Fair enough. So I fucked up one of the daughters. Pieced her shit up bad.
I got a question. How does the game feel? So we're earlier we were talking about how the Resident Evil games feel when it comes down to like weapons and ammo and deterioration of things and stuff like that. How does this one feel when it comes down to like ammo load? And you mean do you have that nervousness of not having enough ammo to handle the situation?
Yes. So much so that as I go around, like, I don't fight if I don't have to.
Okay.
Like, and for good reason. Now, there's that crafting ability before you can craft handgun bullets and stuff like that, and I believe I have enough to craft a good amount, but like, there's a part that I went through in the beginning where I basically just had to survive an attack, and I could have easily ran through all of my ammo. I only have 2 guns right now. So
okay.
So yeah, so far I still feel like I have just enough. Like, I don't know how I would have handled fighting that one daughter if I didn't save my ammo like I normally do. So, yeah, I do enjoy that. I love how the game feels with DualSense controller too. I haven't felt too much different still because like I said, I only have 2 guns, so I only have those 2 but it feels very different from shotgun to handgun. That feels great. The game looks great. I mean, I'm having fun. One thing I did just to mess around the other day because I was bored and I wanted to. I wanted to get back into NHL a little bit because I was having some hockey withdrawal. So I did something that like I've never done just for fun. I usually do something stupid just for fun right before the new game comes out because I know that I'm not going to do like a legit franchise or be a pro a month before the new game comes out.
Yeah.
So I just do something for fun. So what I did was I kind of gave myself like a fantasy draft. I went to like the roster rearranger and I dumped everybody off the Flyers and I took the like my favorite or the best young player, one player off each team, and then started a franchise with them. God, has it been fun. Like, dude, like my centers, like my top 2 centers, like Connor McDavid's my
makes perfect sense.
My top center, my second line center is Austin Matthews. Who else do I have? I have them. I have like Matthew Tkachuk on my team. I have like Charlie McAvoy from the Bruins. I think I kept Joel Farabee from the Flyers, possibly. No, I kept Carter Hart.
Good choice.
Who do I have off certain other teams?
Do you have McKinnon?
Off of Colorado, I did not take McKinnon. I didn't take McKinnon. I didn't take Rantanen. I forget.
I honestly, I love the fact that you decided, all right, I'm just going to make just this bomb-ass young squad. You know what I mean? And you basically average age is like fucking 20 and a half, and let's go ahead and just go.
Yeah, so it's been fun just kind of saying, let me just take the youngest guys off each team and see what happens. I got like Svechnikov. I have Svechnikov, McDavid, and Matthews. I'm trying to think of other teams. Jack Hughes off the Devils. Don't know who I took.
My man said, "Fuck veterans."
I think I took like Jake Gensel off the Penguins. Yeah,
That's legit though.
it's fun. It's just something fun and stupid to mess around with that I'm not really serious about, just to have some fun until the new game comes out. Because I did apply for the closed technical test for 22, hoping I get lucky, just like I did with the last one, to be able to mess around with it. I did hear that, unless it was false, because I feel like I normally hear more information about the new game at this point, considering it comes out in September usually. I heard that they're moving to the Frostbite engine, which
I think we talked about that before.
We talked about wanting it. What's frustrating is that like these sports games have been on the Frostbite engine for like 3 or 4 years now. So now as NHL is just getting on the Frostbite engine, other sports games are moving to an even more superior engine.
Yeah.
So we're, as hockey fans, I'm always fucking behind. But I guess at this point, I'm just happy to be on a different engine. But yeah, so aside from the Ascent, it's just been that, which hasn't been much because I still don't play all that much. And then, the little bit I've done in
Resident
Evil, and that's it.
Word.
But now, as always, it's that time to connect with CGC.
Where they gonna find us?
They have a few places they can find us, just a few. So you can hit us up through Gmail at consolegamingcrew@gmail.com, which you can access through our website, consolegamingcrew.com. Yeah, we got our Twitter at Console Crew. We are Console Gaming Crew on both Instagram and YouTube. All of our episodes will end up on YouTube for our YouTube fam. Well, we have a Facebook, but I don't want to talk about it because it sucks. So I won't. For real though, if anyone wants to reach us on Facebook, feel free. I wouldn't recommend it, but go for it.
I mean, it's still active, and we will still talk with you. So,
there was something new that Wes still hasn't put up on this little thing I'm looking at about Boss Rush, so I'm just gonna read what's up there.
Yeah. So I'll handle this part. So
okay.
yeah, so you have Boss Rush Network. Boss Rush Network.
That's why I wanted to do it.
Yes, I know. So that's where you can find all the content creators and podcasts that have to do with gaming. That's at bossrushgames.com. But there is another aspect to them, which is Boss Rush Entertainment.
Yes,
From there,
yes.
you have LAN Party, you have the Q List. I mean, you have Trash Talk, which I've been a part of, which is their sports podcast.
Yeah.
So it's Boss Rush. Trying to go ahead and just be a part of everything, man. Pop culture, sports, everything. Which and gaming, which obviously is where they started from. So it's awesome.
Yeah, so you can find us on bossrushgames.com in addition to a shitload of other podcasts.
Yes, sir.
all sorts of different genres. They're all great. So check us out, check them out. And then we have our Twitch, which is CGC Podcast. We are kind of off of Freaky Friday. We are now on Fun Fridays for the foreseeable future, where Wes and I, hopefully we can wrangle in Anthony. We'll be playing The Ascent for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
Wes also, do you still do your co-op game Monday night?
Yep, I do my co-op game Monday night. Run that with Clyburn and from the Twisted Cape, Hav, one of my boys, and then Dan. Whenever he can make it in. It might be getting changed a little bit because Mike has to go away for work training. You know what I mean? So we'll figure out what's going on. Worst case scenario, you'll watch me play Miles. So into which there's nothing wrong with that either.
But those are all the places where you can find a weekly dose of us, or daily if you like us that much.
Hey, we have enough in the backlog if you haven't heard us yet. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so as always, we want to go ahead and tell y'all thank you for listening. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. So please stay safe. Wash your hands. Mask up if you need to. Be safe, please. And as always,
game on.
Game on, y'all. Peace.